Forever and always, I'm always here. Hi, everyone, and I want to welcome you back to Forever and Always, a podcast about Baywatch for Baywatch fans by a Baywatch fan, me. And a million thank yous for returning. And I know one thing that probably is jumping out at you right away. Well, two things actually, but I'll start with the first one. This is episode 8.5. And I know that would throw some of you for a little bit of a loop there. And you're saying, Tom, you promised, you promised there wasn't going to be any math on this show. This is just going to be about Baywatch and Baywatch nights. And I assure you, there's not going to be any long division or anything like that. Originally, I had a bunch of storyboards ready to go to really dive back into the pilot. And I was actually going to do a small dramatization of one of the scenes here in the studio. I was going to act out a few characters and, things of this nature. But I had to run by my former abode, my parents' house, and, I needed to grab a few knickknacks and hobnobs, and and I will tell you it was bittersweet. I certainly do miss some of the creature comforts, if you'll call them, like a bed and a working refrigerator and things like this. But I also think it's good that I am, excuse me, kind of permanently living here in the church now, and I think it's a really dynamite situation that I have some room to create and things like that. So as I was gathering up some of my things, my parents, my mom specifically, kind of dismissively handed me some mail, and I thought, wow, this is something. I rarely get mail. I believe the last piece of mail I got was maybe a month or so ago, and it was just somebody in town had sent me a newspaper clipping of the story when I had survived the level 5 sunburn, and that made a little bit of local news, as one might imagine, and it's not. I'm glad to have that, obviously, but this is quite the stack here. So I thought to myself, Tom, why open these by yourself when you can open it with the anchors? And I believe this is some Baywatch related stuff and Forever and Always related stuff specifically. And I have opened them out of the envelope, but I have not looked at them. So I'm really excited to open these up with everyone today. And this is going to be a bonus mailbag episode. So I'm very thrilled and I'm very excited about that. Alternatively, it was, again, great to see my parents briefly. And while they are certainly not pleased with with me moving out and whatnot, they say it's not going to work, and I'll never be able to make it on my own and things like that. But I think things are going swimmingly so far. And the other thing you might notice, and I really highly recommend you watch this episode on YouTube. It is definitely going to be a more visual episode than we're used to. I would say the camera angle is certainly something that might be throwing you people off, and you're saying, Tom, back away from the camera. Move the camera back, please. And, while I agree with you, it's going to make it much easier because I really would like to show off some of this stuff, and I have the camera right here. It's much easier to do so. So on that note, I think we should dive headfirst, much like Mitch into the ocean, into the mailbag. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the first piece here. Now, this is something I think everybody's going to enjoy. And this is coming from a Leonardo de la Fuente. And let me just give you guys a peek of it right quick. Now, isn't that just a lovely picture? Now, I assume that is me, as you notice the hat. And I really wanted to point out, the line work. The line work is just brilliant on this. And let's see here. And Leonardo, I think we can safely change your name from Leonardo de la Fuente to Leonardo da Vinci. I think it's it's just a dynamite picture, and he attached a little note with it, and let's check that out. I'll place this, actually, where can I put this? Right here. All right, this says, "Hi, Tom. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to chat with you about something minor." He says, "I've noticed that sometimes you wear a really colorful and attention-grabbing shirt." Oh, boy. I really stepped in it a few episodes back with that, like what I thought was a beautiful button-up shirt with some beach, themes. But I digress. And he says, "I appreciate your unique style, but it can sometimes be a bit distracting, especially in certain situations. Would you mind considering wearing your brown sweater and more understated attire for talking about Baywatch? I think it would help create a more focused and relaxed atmosphere for everyone. Thanks for understanding. Anyways, here's a picture I drew of you in your sweater." Leonardo, I assure you, and I assure the rest of the anchors here, that shirt, I promise you, is not coming back. It seemed to cause a lot more controversy than I had, definitely than I had intended. So, again, a million apologies for that, and I'll take this to heart, Tom. Tom. I will take this to heart, Leonardo, and thank you so much again. And let's move on to the second one. My heart's pounding because of just the sheer beauty of this art. So thanks again, Leonardo. All right, and what do we have here? I can already see some color popping. Well, this is an interesting direction. Well, all right, let me give you guys a look at this. Again, I think this is a picture of me, and it says, "We are the anchors." And well, yeah, it's I see the brown sweater, and although I don't typically wear jeans, it appears this interpretation is me wearing blue jeans. I find those a bit informal in most situations, but nevertheless, it really does pop here. And the hat, he included the hat as well. It does say lifeguard, and well, I would, as if I did have a small critique, and this is from a Wade Quartz. Now, I gotta say, that name doesn't even sound real. That sounds like, it reminds me of an episode of Baywatch, obviously, and I can't remember the specific episode. Again, I just kind of threw this together at the last minute. But Wade Quartz, it evokes an evil miner who's, trying to sap the beach of its resources in an underhanded and shady way. But I'm sure, the real Mr. Quartz is not not a sinister miner. And I would say this is it's quite a beautiful picture, and I do think it. He even included the white hair after my lightning strike. So this is very, very recent. And actually, I can tell it's recent. It still has some, it looks like Cheeto stains or some kind of maybe a Dorito stain here. Well, I just love it. Wade, keep on trying, and improvement is something we all strive for. So I think if you keep working on this, you're really going to hit on something here. Pardon me. So again, thank you, Mr. Quartz, and keep on keeping on. Let's see if he had any. I think he did have a note attached to this. It's very short. It says anchor guard, and both anchor and guard are misspelled, but look, nobody's perfect, okay? Thank you for this note, and it means a lot to me, and I really, really appreciate that. Thanks again. All right, I think we have just a couple more. Let's see here. Let's see. And let's see, okay, this is something I could see being made into a t-shirt or maybe a promotional poster or flyer for the podcast. I'll just go ahead and show you. Anchor. Now, this is very detailed and beautiful line work once again. This one is a unattributed. So I'm not sure who drew this, but let me just say you are a top tier talent. And again, this is a very, very detailed. You see the loop ring here, which is where they attach the rope to the anchor. And I think this would be dynamite if I can, maybe hit 10 or no. I'm actually at 14 subscribers on YouTube. If maybe I could hit 20 or so subscribers, I would love to get a shirt made up of this and maybe mail them out to some of the some of the big fans here. And again, I love this. I think it's dynamite. And there is a note attached to this one too. And I really, really hope I can attribute this to someone here. Let's read this note. Okay, and this says, as the rain poured down relentlessly, soaking through his tattered sweater, the man huddled on the lonely, desolate dock, his tear-filled eyes fixated on the rusted anchor that had endured far more than he ever could. A heartbreaking reminder of his own frailty and despair. In its unwavering presence, he saw the stark contrast to his own life, a poignant symbol of his inability to anchor himself in a world that seemed to constantly drift away. Well, that is, I would say it's a little bit of a dour theme. We are, talking about Baywatch here, so it's usually a fun-filled time, but I do think it's brilliant, and I assume this is not about me, although the brown sweater would indicate that it is. But either way, this is it's just dynamite. I really appreciate it once again, and if you were the author of this and the illustrator of this, I would love it if you would leave a comment on this video and let me know who you are, and maybe we can maybe get in touch with some of these feelings that are being evoked here. But again, thank you so much, and that is just, again, a dynamite picture. And last but not least, let's see what this is. And this says right at the top, from the department, let's see. From the Federal Bureau of Investigations. And you know who I bet this is. These are these two dynamite FBI agents that I, had a discussion with after the, the toxic plume, the toxic cloud that enveloped the church and some of the surrounding areas. And I had assumed, I saw when I discussed that I had this podcast, I saw a twinkle in, their eyes that told me, you know what? And they're saying, Tom, we have to be professional here, but we just know that we are both Baywatch fans. And I could sense that from them. So I assumed that they would eventually reach out, and it looks like they have. And this says, Mr. Boatwater. It says, we are currently investigating a case involving some financial irregularities at your church, and your knowledge could be crucial to our investigation. You are listed as the bookkeeper on the organizational chart, and it is possible that we would need you to testify in front of a grand jury. Bookkeeper. This must be some kind of mistake, as obviously I'm not a bookkeeper. In fact, I've never kept a book. I actually get my books from the library, so in essence they would have to be returned, and I wouldn't be a keeper in that case. And let's read on a little bit. It says, we need you to come in and answer some questions from an investigator. If you would like a lawyer present, please do so, yada, yada, yada. And when am I supposed to do this? Oh, the date is actually 9/8/2023, and that's today. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to be taking a little drive into Decatur today and get this sorted out. It's possible this is just a cover to talk about Baywatch, and they probably don't want to do that in an official capacity, so maybe it's something along those lines. But I got to admit that is a little distressing. Okay, well, that's enough for the mailbag today, and just to go over them briefly, we have this unattributed anchor, and I just think that is lovely. And let's see here. We have from a Wade Quartz. We are the anchors, and I definitely think this is a wonderful, wonderful first effort from Wade. Thank you so much. And last but not least, we have from Leonardo. I'm just going to go ahead and call it Leonardo da Vinci. This beauty right here. And, I'm reminded of a. It's not an episode of Baywatch per se, and it's not a pure spin-off. And I'm always very reticent to discuss this one on with Bayheads and in my newsletters and things like this. But there is a spin-off movie of Baywatch called Thunder Bay, and this very, very much reminds me of a situation like that. I don't include it in my analysis typically because it takes place in Alaska, and quite frankly, I don't feel that Alaska is a bay per se. I don't see any. When I watch the movie, I don't see any beach towels. I don't see any umbrellas, and I certainly don't see any any metal detectors like we discussed last week. But in this movie, and obviously Mitch is there, and so that actually kind of helps out with moving the plot along. In this, there is a character named Leslie Stryker, and she quickly endears herself to, some of the lifeguards who are on tour there, and Mitch in particular. And it turns out, and after Mitch finally uncovers this plot, it turns out that she is a world-renowned jewel thief, and it just reminds me that I am holding some very valuable material here with this artwork, and something that I'm going to frame and add to my collection. But so if you're out there listening, Leslie, don't think you're going to get your hands on these pieces here. I'm going to keep them under a watchful eye. And on that note, again, next week we're really going to get back into the pilot, and that will be episode 9. So we're just going to take the 8.5 and add a 0.5 to it. On that note, I need to sort this thing out with the FBI, and I'm always here.